So this is our monthly package, internal monthly customer call. And actually for this month, before there's a hackathon tomorrow that I'm presenting at, so I put together a little presentation for that. I thought I could share that. That's the first item on the agenda, just to quickly review the roadmap. Let's see. I'll just jump to like the two relevant slides here. So the first, I just wanted to show what we've launched recently, which some of this stuff may address some problems, but back in 12.0, it was really just me, and DZ was doing some work for the package stage. So we launched a new template, and we launched a dependency proxy. Since then, we've been improving NPM. So we launched support for groups and subgroups and authentication with the GitLab token. And then we've changed the overall UI. We've added an API endpoint to list the images of a group. So the next thing that we could do is start thinking about a group level browser UI for the container registry. And we've improved the delete process for the user interface, for those that the user interface works for, where you can now select multiple images. And coming out next week, we'll resolve that problem where deleting an image deletes all images with the same ID. That's in review right now, and that should go out in the next couple of weeks, definitely by 12.3. And then just what's on our plan, you can see here by this table, the container registry is definitely the bulk of our work. And a big piece of that is lowering the cost of storage for us and for our customers. So a couple of things, smaller things at the top, giving users the option to delete images from CI. Before, CI registry user didn't have permission to untag its own images. So that's something that's in review now and should definitely be out in 12.3. I mentioned the improved deletion UI. That's done. This is for improving the logic. I just mentioned that, so that'll be in 12.3 as well. Okay, so the big stuff are, how do we improve garbage collection, at least for our customers? I've been talking to some large enterprise customers who have many terabytes of storage that they're using for the container registry, and our garbage collection code won't work for them. And so we've been going back and forth with, do we fork Docker distribution? Do we build our own? So we did decide that we would like to fork Docker distribution registry, but even before that, we're going to try to take this Docker pruner code that Camille wrote, that's in experimental phase right now, and see and we're investigating what has to be true for that to be used in production and by customers. We've seen some customers reported that they're using it, and when it works for them, it's really fast and efficient. And then others say it breaks backups for them, or that they have these other problems. So this is what we're going to be working on in 12.4, is figuring out what it would take to bring that to production worthy. We're also planning on adding a bulk removal API at the group level. So for those customers, they can now have options to clean up or remove, at least untag things and slate them for garbage collection. And that'll be really valuable for companies like ours that have many groups and that don't know every project that they're administrating for. Then here comes the work for actually forking the distribution code. The first thing we'll do is optimize that garbage collection process. Looks pretty straightforward, and I've seen some MRs out there or pull requests on GitHub suggest, that optimize it like orders of magnitude, and Docker never really accepted those changes. So I'm not sure what's going to happen if we make a change. Will Docker accept those changes into Docker registry? We don't know. Or do we have to maintain a fork? DJ, I was actually hoping Dan was going to be able to make this to start just talking about how would we do that process, because we're already maintaining some aspect of Docker registry now, and we update it for security updates or major feature enhancements, right?
Yeah, we're actually just like, we don't have really hardly any patches on top of it. The only time we ever patched it so far was just to bring in, like, we did patch it once to bring in more S3 region support to it.
Oh, okay.
While we were waiting for a release. But that was the only time we patched it so far. And at the moment, we're just running like right off one of their release tags.
Oh, okay. So we haven't had to deal with them doing minor security updates or minor updates that we've had to upgrade to recently, just that one that you mentioned.
Yeah, we in terms of the security updates, I think each time, I don't think we've seen very many come through, and when they have, they've tagged a new release. So we do keep up to date when they do tag a new release. They've just been typically very slow to do tagging.
Okay, yeah, that's one piece that we're going to have to figure out is if we are forking the distribution code and we want to push it back, that's one thing. But if they're not accepting, they don't want to accept our pushes, then we're going to have to figure out a way to stay up to date with those security updates or their release tag updates. So I think that'll require some conversation. But once we do that and we optimize the garbage collection, we want to add in the ability to expire images from CI. So now in all of our GitLab CI YAML files, the idea is that you could, very similar to how we handle artifacts, you could just write expire in 7 days for all of those short-lived images and tags that we're building, which I've seen both of you are very guilty of. And then adding in the ability for self-managed instances to run garbage collection from the application. So for users that they don't have a ton of space, they could run it. They're running it now, just giving them the option to schedule it from GitLab. And then setting up those retention and expiration policies. And then finally, having the idea of what we do for merge requests, where you could say delete branch on merge. Maybe there's something there that we could do for images as well. So like once a branch is merged, delete any images or tags that are tied to that specific branch. Any questions on those? I know it was a lot of talking. No. Okay, and then the big story in the package registry is we're adding in Conan for C++. That's going to launch in 12.3. NuGet is our next most highly requested feature. I just wrote an epic for that issue for adding it. And then after that, we're thinking of PyPy would probably be the next one. But it's not on this list because it's not scheduled yet. And the dependency proxy, we're not really actively working on it in this moment. But although we have been getting a lot more requests for people wanting to proxy Maven and NPM packages. And we are about to add a new category that no one really likes the name of, called dependency scanning or dependency firewall, which would basically just take everything that's on the dependency proxy and provide some visibility into any vulnerabilities and maybe some remediation paths. But that's like a 2020 initiative as well. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. It's a lot.
So what was some of the reasons for the low priority on the dependency proxy?
Just that it was going to be either really high priority if we decided we were going to build our own container registry, and then we're going to leverage the dependency proxy. But it's lower priority just because we have to solve some of those storage problems for our customers who are currently they're very unhappy with that for the container registry, and we just don't have the resources to work on both.
Is there still an open issue for getting a dependency proxy working in Unicorn, or are we just anticipating that Unicorn is going away?
There is still an open issue. There's one, I could send it. Actually, it should be on that list. I'll put it in the chat here. But do you think that we still need that? Because we're switching, I know we're switching to Puma. How is that process going?
Seems like it's going well. I'm not aware of a date in which we're switching customers though.
Okay.
But it seems like it's been going well on Canary. It's on Canary at this point, right? It was on staging and it's made it to Canary.
I don't know about Canary, but I do know that Dev and Ops instances use it.
Okay, just Dev and Ops. I don't think we've had any problems with it though, right?
Nice. Okay.
None
So maybe this issue won't be needed. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I've only heard positive things about the move, but I also haven't heard a date in which for us to swap over.
Okay.
So with that in mind, like by default, customers basically don't have dependency proxy
Unless they switch manually to Puma, which we don't know how many people are doing that. Yeah, we really need to get that feature out. I just want to make it through these storage optimization features for the container registry and then start improving the dependency proxy after that. I also think there's some fundamental questions that we're asking about, is the dependency proxy built to scale to all of the different registries? Because really that's what we need, is not just for images. We need it for Maven and NPM and Ruby in the future and all of that stuff. So I think one of the questions Dan is asking himself now is, are the way that we architected each of those individual package registry integrations, does it make sense for scalability? Because right now we built Maven as it's a standalone feature, NPM is a standalone feature, but really they are just services that authenticate, take in some data, and then respit out that data in a pretty format. Maybe it would make sense to have one service that handles them all, and we could add, it'll be easier to add future services in the future to it. And I think the proxy is a big piece of that, because the proxy could handle where do you pull those things from? How does it, what's the logic there?
Yeah, for our use in distribution, it certainly isn't it's not a big priority. It's just that without it being turned on everywhere, we can't really use it. Of course, the bigger stuff we're looking for is that first column that you have there in the container registry.
Okay, cool.
For sure. So you said in this past release we have bulk removal of tags ready to go on the API level, right?
Or that's coming soon. Let me just see. That is in 12.4, I think.
Okay. And you also mentioned that there was still some issues around deletion.
There's
kind of like 12.4. Is that where? So even if the bulk removal was there, should we be pursuing using it? I guess on GitLab.com.
I think we should. I think the deletion process problem is from the UI, where if you deleted a specific tag, it would delete all tags that have the same image ID. So some people, if they were reusing a lot of the same image ID but with different names, could delete like 20 at once by accident. But that problem, the API is more specific. You could just put in delete everything that it hasn't been updated in more than 7 days, or untag everything that hasn't been run 7 or 30 days or something like
that. And then for GitLab.com specifically, is the garbage collection already working enough that would actually benefit us? So it basically wouldn't benefit us yet anyways. It would just clean up our UI, but it wouldn't benefit the storage.
Right, it would make the UI more performant, which would be nice. And then it would mark all of those things for deletion. So when we do optimize the garbage collection code, it would be able to clean up more. But yeah, optimizing that code is really important. And it doesn't seem, I don't want to say it seems easy, because there's a lot of logistical things about how we make those changes to the registry. But from what I've heard from Dan and team, the actual optimization may not be that challenging. It's just there's a lot of architectural decisions that need to be rolled in there. But when we talked to Go Harbor, I just talked to Go Harbor, or Harbor, I should say, not Go Harbor. They never optimize their garbage collection, and they have, huge customers. And the way that they've handled it is they've just always had the retention and expiration policies and the schedule right from the app. So it never got to the point where a customer could get up to 55 terabytes of storage, or GitLab gets up to, I bet it's almost 2 petabytes now of storage, because we'll always have had that process in place. So I think we need to do the cleanup, but the next thing will be like making sure that we are expiring images appropriately and just running GC every 30 days. Maybe, I don't know, for GitLab.com, maybe it makes sense to run it every week or something at that point. I'm very anxious to bring that cost down, though. Yeah, I think that'll be a big win. Okay. Anything else we should talk about? That was all my stuff.
No, I had nothing else. It sounds like maybe in 12.4 we can try doing a bit of cleanup then.
That would be cool.
I'm excited.
Yeah. And I'll let you know as we are making more decisions in progress on the Docker pruner, if that's looking like we can make that production worthy. That seems like our fastest route. And if not, then we have to do the fork and then optimize the code and figure out how to make that work for us. So I'll let you know what happens over the next week or two. We should have some better answers. Okay, well, thanks for joining, and I'll talk to you all later in the week.
Definitely sounds good. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks. Bye.